Please join me in welcoming Mix Maeda. Their speech title is The Dangers of Toxic Masculinity. The Dangers of Toxic Masculinity. So, Mix Maeda, would you come to the stage?
Sure. Thank you, the Master of Ceremony, honorable judges, and all of the audiences. Hello, everyone. I love women. As a feminist, I love when women support each other. I also love seeing women rise as CEOs, presidents, and leaders while juggling personal lives and family commitments and their dreams and desires. Today, social media and feminist activists are setting the standard, empowering women. For this, I am very grateful. However, I'm also worried about men. Society seems to be overlooking the harmful effects of what has been coined toxic masculinity on men's mental health. Traditionally, masculinity is associated with traits such as strength, invulnerability, and dominance. Toxic masculinity is forcing these binary and stereotypical ideas of hypermasculinity on men. The problem with toxic masculinity is the idolization of the tough guy image, which prevents men from living comfortable lives. You may wonder, what right does a clueless 17-year-old girl have to preach and pontificate on masculinity? Well, I think I do have some insight into this debate because growing up, I, too, struggled with narrow definitions of gender, identifying as neither feminine nor masculine. I spent my childhood as a proud tomboy who loved playing sports in dirt-covered jeans while flaunting nail polish and jangling bracelets. However, as I grew older, I began to question binary gender labels attached to family, clothing, and even word choice. Girls, apparently, should have neat, tidy handwriting. Fix your big, bold scrolls, my teacher said. And boys are the only ones allowed to dominate sports. Stay off the field, my friend said. I was appalled that I was being asked to act according to their definition of what a girl should be. I became careful not to judge people based on stereotypes. Still, when I first encountered the word toxic masculinity, I realized that the idea that men could face the same gender-based discrimination as girls, but go unrecognized due to stigma, had, honestly, never occurred to me. I also realized that I may have unconsciously contributed to this problem. How many times have I heard the words boy failure used to describe boys who failed to meet the standards of masculinity and let the laughter and conversation go on without speaking up? How many times had I caught my male friends joke about each other's lack of masculinity? I realized toxic masculinity was all around us. I want to ask all of you in the audience, how many times have you judged men as not masculine enough? I'd guess often enough to feel a little guilty. This is the power unconscious bias caused by toxic masculinity has over us. And this is a realization, and this is the reason why I feel the need to warn you about the dangers of toxic masculinity. What's most important to know is that toxic masculinity stems from ideas learned from a young age. There are two patterns to this, similar to the 5 F responses to stress: fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and fine. The first pattern is fight. During fight, men become physical and controlling to protect themselves. If these practices are learned from a young age, violence within a relationship could become more automatic, increasing the risks of domestic violence. Narrow conceptions of masculinity could also cause men to abuse young boys, creating a cycle of generational abuse and entrenched toxic masculinity. This mindset could also affect prospective career choices. Researchers claim that when parents encourage girls to aspire in male-dominated career fields, but discourage boys from aspiring in ballet or nursing, it shows the mindset that feminine jobs equals lower status. This not only limits one's goals, it simultaneously degrades women, instilling a view of absolute male dominance from a young age. Another pattern is fine. Here, men deal with stress by bottling emotions, all while acting fine, and fear that if they don't comply with stereotypes, they will be judged. A study by Sarah McKenzie and others in the American Journal of Men's Health suggests that men tend to rely on social connections for emotional support. However, researchers also claim that their inability to communicate their emotions could cause any kind of relationship to collapse. Younger men dealing with poor mental health tend to have it worse, as fear of being judged deprives them of a community that can encourage them to seek support, heightening the risks of suicide. In either response pattern, men tend to turn to harmful ways to deal with the stress of trying to fit the role forced upon them by society. Teaching boys to man up will never be the solution to creating a generation of mentally strong, healthy, and confident men. It will only create a generation of men who cannot stand up for themselves. We must understand that despite the obstacles men face, pity and forgiveness are not the solution. Fixing toxic masculinity is. So what can we do? If you discover that you have been struggling with or even perpetrating toxic masculinity, speak up, talk to someone, and get help. Your realization will start your journey of healing and self-education. As someone who loves people of all genders and sexualities, I dare you to start the conversation. Call out colleagues or classmates to force their definition of masculinity on others. Ring up your male best friend and ask him if he's doing okay. And remember, they half-hearted fine is not always fine. Support boys who want to become nurses or designers. Support queer men. Support healthy education. Gender equality is not about making everyone the same. It's about reining everyone into the circle of knowledge and leaving no one behind. I love women, but I've learned to love men, fathers, sons, brothers, friends as well. You will too, in all their differences. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maeda. Now we have a question and answer session. Mr. Ibushi, please.
Okay, good afternoon, Maeda-san.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how do you feel right now?
Okay, I guess.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay, so my first question is about your speech title, Toxic Masculinity.
Yes.
So would you please clarify the meaning of your speech title once again, please?
Okay, so for toxic masculinity, I think we all have a general idea of what masculinity is, but toxic masculinity is kind of like the so-called toxic version of it. It's forcing a certain definition of masculinity on men and saying, if you don't fit this standard, you are not a man. And I feel like that really stifles certain aspects of men. For example, I've met a boy who said he liked pink and everyone in the class just laughed at him. And I was just left feeling really confused because, I mean, men look really good in pink too, like that can happen. And I thought that was also an example of toxic masculinity.
So why do you think people have such kind of toxic masculinity point of view?
I think, well, this is a problem that's really deeply rooted in the history of our kind, I think. It's mostly, I think, the very idea of gender or like even the way how you express your gender is made mostly because we are formed by a society, by a group of people, and by affecting each other, we give each other a certain definition. For example, by interacting with people who, for example, wear dresses and who are women, we get the idea, oh, women have to wear dresses. Or if we see men who are more aggressive, we automatically think, okay, men are supposed to be aggressive, but that itself is just a very generalized idea of what a certain gender should act.
Okay, so why did you focus on masculinity in this your speech? As you said in your speech, there are also some kind of bias or prejudice to women as well.
Yes.
So why did you focus on men this time?
I think so for recent years, female empowerment has been really something that's been going on for a while. The whole Me Too movement as well, it's really started a whole trend of trying to empower women. But I think this whole shift towards empowering women, it's amazing. I am totally in favor of it, but I think that also kind of diminishes a certain perspective on toxic masculinity. By focusing on women, we're kind of forgetting about how men also tend to deal with this, but they themselves also don't seem to be aware of it, that they're being oppressed. And also to me personally, gender has been a very personal issue for me. The whole idea of how you should express yourself or feeling oppressed is something that I think everyone has felt in one way or another. And by focusing on men, I want people to realize that men can feel this as well.
All right, time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Iboshi and Ms. Maeda. Now we have a judging time.